The NeuroDADverse Podcast is produced by Squid Shack Studios.
Hey, I'm Ben.
And I'm Dan.
We're both fathers,
We're both married.
and we're both raising kids with diagnosed neurodiverse conditions.
Parenting is tough, and we're not saying it's harder for us, just different.
And sometimes that different can be hard to explain.
That's why we've created the NeuroDADverse, a weekly show where we share our wins, our challenges, and all the neurosparkly and neurospicy bits in between.
Our hope is to create a safe space for parents to share their own highs and lows of neurodiverse parenting. And just to remind you of three things.
You're doing great,
You are enough.
and you're definitely not alone.
So welcome to the NeuroDADverse. Hello there, listeners. Welcome to the NeuroDADverse. It's the podcast for, about, and definitely by parents of neurodivergent children. Welcome if you're new, welcome if you've been before, and if you can't remember, that's perfectly fine with us. We get together as parents of neurodivergent children at different stages of their development and share our wins and challenges of the week and just have a general catch up. My name's Ben, and this is Dan. Hi, Dan.
Hey Ben, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you too. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've had nice weather where I am, so a little bit sun-kissed potentially. My face might get pinker as the podcast goes on for those watching online.
Well, that'll be a win or a challenge. Don't know. Okay, cool. We normally start our week in 3 words. What did you go for?
So I've gone for exploration, regulation, initiation. Unintentionally
Cool.
went with a rhyme there, but that does sum up my week.
Mine's also a rhyme. It's clocks, knocks, and socks.
Oh, look at us and our rhyming games.
I know, rhyming. For me, our Sunday, as we're recording, is our last Sunday of Easter break. So the socks is just about the fact that my challenges and wins is I've been pairing socks.
Your Monday socks ready for
clocks-
tomorrow? Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise you to know that we don't have days of the week socks. We have socks that we wear. Anyway, yeah, cool. All right, looking forward to getting into it. We normally kick off the podcast, or the first half of our podcast is talking about our challenges, and then we try to come at you in the second half with some wins. But who knows? Maybe some wins are smuggled into the challenges, and some challenges smuggled into the wins. So, Dan, why don't you kick us off? What was some of your challenges this week?
So overall, I must say that I've had more of a winning week. I've got a minor challenge, sort of self-inflicted, and then my main challenge that sprung up this week. So my minor challenge is we have just completed our first week back to school because we're on a different school calendar to you and your family. So we ended up missing the bus on Monday morning, but it's my fault. In the sense that Frankie went to bed nice and early, was like, cool, he's going to get a good night's sleep. He woke up around midnight, which was before I went to bed. I was prepping to go to bed, and he didn't go back to bed again. So it was a very long night, sort of broken 10, 15-minute sort of power naps here and there in between him being awake and wanting to be with us. And I think he kind of passed out for an hour or so around about the 5 o'clock mark. And then that meant I overslept, and I was politely awoken by Frankie sort of slapping me on the chin, on the cheeks. And when I noticed the time, it was 7:30, 25 to 8, and he gets picked up at 8. And I was like, oh no, let's go. So it was like the scene out of Home Alone, mad rushing, trying to get him to do the entire morning routine in a time frame that wasn't really fair on him. Like, I was asking a lot. Sometimes in the past, we've got up and done a school thing in 15 minutes, but not the first day back after a 2-week break. So got him into school. He was happy.
No,
I was just asking too much of
good.
him, and it was just a really long night and day, obviously, after that. So it was a bit of a challenge. The main,
I mean, still seems like a win. Didn't write the whole day off.
No, he didn't write the day off. It was just like that was a bit of a challenge for me.
Not to diminish your challenge.
No, I understand. I say both of these challenges from that challenge is more my point of view. My next one's more from a Frankie point of view. But yeah, he was good. It's just the side effects. He either sleeps really well with the melatonin, or he sleeps.
What was the school day and the after school like?
His school day, to my knowledge, from what I can recall, he's had a good day at school every day this week, so that was good. And
Cool.
after school, he was obviously tired, and I think he went to bed. He slept better the next night, so because he was that tired, so it didn't. I don't think it impacted him. It was just, I put it down as a challenge for. Well, it was a challenge on his part because I was trying to get him to eat breakfast, have his vitamin, get dressed, and do everything in a much shorter time than I would usually give him. And it was a challenge from my side just because I was so tired because I didn't really sleep, and trying to stay positive and try and keep the day and the routine going for on his behalf was just a bit challenging. But we got in. We weren't.
Yeah, sure.
How? Oh, we were actually. I did think the day was actually going to unravel because when I got into school, it took me 45 minutes to do a 30-second journey. And that was more challenging for him just because I think he was just slightly unsettled at that point. As we went to get out the car, we had a loud. It wasn't quite a lorry. I can't find the word. I can't quite remember. It was like a building site vehicle. And that unsettled him because he doesn't like those noises. He did get out the car with me, and then he was walking towards school. But essentially, long story short, I needed an extra set of hands. Like if I had an extra body with me, it could have been a lot simpler because Frankie's got into a bit of a thing where he likes to see start and end of journey, and he wants the runway in the middle clear. So I had to get to the school gate. I have to push the button to activate the slow opening like automatic gates. But because the zebra crossing to the school gate is like 10 meters away from that, and he was kind of running back in a action, I couldn't really just run over to the gate to push the button because he was also running back towards the road, like just sort of regulating because of the noise.
Oh wow!
So by the time he got to there, and I did get the gate open, the other sort of half of his provision that he goes to inside the mainstream, they have children that turn up at 9:30 and they leave half an hour earlier, so they have a shorter school day. So they were then arriving, which then kind of meant the runway wasn't clear from road to reception. But I needed to get reception door open as well. So I basically just thought, I'm not going to try and force this. He's happy. He's just not wanting to go in. And I just said, I'll wait for these kids to go to class and then we'll follow them in. And that is eventually what happened. So, but yeah, and I must admit, handled that quite well considering I was quite tired. Obviously, I was more awake at that point. But yeah, it's not optimal having like an hour or so's sleep trying to get your child into school happy, which is what I wanted. Sure. So I gave him what he needed. And by the time I got back, I actually did quite a good day's shift in at home, catching up on my to-do list because that did wake me up, but it just wasn't the most optimal. So, and I've only remembered that because you asked how was his day. I thought his day wasn't going to go very well because of that, but it actually that was the win from the challenge there. My main challenge is an after-school incident that happened midweek. Just before Amy came home, one of her engineers from work would come to the house to do just fix a little job because I'm not a handyman by any stretch. And we can say yet, but I don't think it's going to work. And she works with a load of engineers who are experts in all this DIY stuff. So
I've got the qualifications.
Exactly, they are experts. So I'm not. Exactly. I've always said, if you want me to put a shelf up, I can make you a video explaining how to put the shelf up, but I could not put the actual shelf up. So and all of our engineers know it. It's a bit of a joke between us, but they're lovely. So one of them come around to help fix something, and when we were saying goodbye, Frankie was in the back garden. He then come through to the front, and I was just chatting to them. And as they left, Frankie then wanted to go and explore the street, which I wanted to support because we don't often just walk around our street. However, the reason it was a challenge, so this is my exploration part of my 3 words, just nothing about it was really optimal for me to be able to support and give him the freedom that I wanted. I wanted him to be able to do what he wanted to do, but we just had a busy couple of days at school. And he was barefoot because Frankie doesn't like wearing shoes in the garden. So he was in the back garden and I thought he was staying there. So I was talking at the front door, didn't think anything of it. He went onto the drive and then I saw he wanted
didn't want to put the... You didn't...
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, you didn't want to put in the stop, shoes on, then we go, because that's
breaking up the. It's
in
another.
the moment you're just like, this is a good thing. I want to follow that through, and you don't really think about what I'm assuming you're going to tell me about bare feet. Go on.
So he had bare feet. He was also, it was just before bath time, so he kind of just like, he was going to get changed, so he needed a change, and he wanted to cross over the road to our neighbour, like slash auntie. She buys him ice cream. She loves him. He had the curiosity every now and again, like once every 6 months, he'd just go, I'm just going to walk over to her house and say hello. She wasn't actually in, so that was the challenge. So he's walking up to her front door. He's knocking on her door, trying to look through her front room window, like, where is she? And I'm like, she's not in. Her car's not here. Like, no car, not in. And it took him a little while to sort of process that. And he's exploring her garden. He's not harming anyone at this point. Like, I've got the gate closed. I'm just standing there. I'm just waiting for him to kind of get the hint that it's not going to happen because she's not in. And then he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just start walking down the road. But our road it's not flat paving. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like made up of lots of different, like sort of the harsher, more pebble dashy sort of thing. Then it's more flat. And then it's tiles and pavement slabs. And I'm just like, this isn't going to work, Frank. You're probably going to end up hurting your foot or cutting your foot because it's not flat. So I was trying to herd him to a certain point. So then he went back up to the other side of the road. And then he was then trying to explore other people's front gardens or drives. I'm like, ideally, we shouldn't be going on their drives. So can we come over here? And I think he was just getting a little bit annoyed and frustrated with me that I'm trying to curb his fun, but I'm trying to manage a bit of health and safety, but also, like, you've got no shoes. I'm wearing sliders, which isn't ideal if you did want to go quickly and run off. I've only got my phone and my keys on me. I haven't got like anything that I would usually have if we're going to go for an expedition. And eventually, after sort of doing a couple of laps up that side of the road, he started to get a bit dysregulated, and this is where my regulation sort of comes in. He started to get a little bit upset and cry, and I think he just got a bit too much for him because obviously it was post school. His routine's out because we had the engineer over, and he should have been in the bath by then. Technically, should have bathed. So it was just sort of natural.
Different textures on the bases of the feet as well.
Yeah, so. And he's exploring he's going to different houses that he's never been to before. Like, obviously we've walked up and down our road. But it's just he got a bit more freedom to do it. So I'm trying to embrace the freedom, but also trying to like slowly edge him back home, going like, we go have dessert now, because he technically didn't have dessert because he'd eaten his dinner, then went and joined us in the garden because it was a garden thing that was being fixed. And yeah, so he just started to get a little bit upset, and I managed to lift him up and cross the road because he was starting to play around like people's cars, and I noticed a couple of the neighbours were like looking out the window, and then obviously he started to cry. More people sort of come over, and then in the end he just wanted to sort of drop to the floor, and I just sat next to him, and yeah, I was like, I'm quite content and quite happy. Sort of leaning into my personal win of the week a little bit, and I'll explain it more later, but I was just like, okay, if we're going to be upset and sit on the floor, then I'll just sit on the floor with you, and that's fine. We had a couple of people come out and just be like, is everything okay? Because initially I had to lift him up from behind. So he was in front of me. I lifted his legs up from behind just so like I'm holding him like he's in a seated position to just get him across the road safely. But then he's quite heavy. I'm in sliders. Nothing, again, as I said, was ideal. So I had to put him down. So that could, to some neighbours, that might look like a bit dodgy as an activity, like a man's trying to just carry up this kid who's now crying. But he was just...
my follow-up question. How his cry is quite loud.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. It's going to garner some attention.
Yeah. And
anyone, like, did you have any neighbour interactions?
So I did have, my immediate next door neighbour, they saw us, they got into their car, went on a short journey, and they saw us outside our neighbour over the road sort of garden. We said hello. They actually came back, and when they come back, we were sitting on the floor looking down the road at this point. And after they took their bags in, she come over and said, "How are you doing?" I went, "Yeah, we're fine." Like that, and they know how Frankie is, and we have conversations with them over the thing, and
that's good.
So supportive, sort of. Are you okay? And I went, "Do you know what? We're okay. He's just a bit like, it's been a long day. Like, we're only 5 doors away from home when we're doing this." And then the person whose house we were sitting in front of recently moved in, probably in the last couple of months. They were actually coming out to do their bins because it was the night before bin day, and they kind of just looked at me and went, "Is everything okay?" And I went, "Yeah, it's okay. Like, he's just a bit tired. It's been a long day. we live a few doors down. We're just taking our time. We're just having a bit of a chill out. And they went, oh, okay. And they just carried on with their business. But it was the challenge part. Granted, I've rambled probably a little bit too long on this, but there's a couple of neighbours in our street that know about our situation, but not all of them. So part of me trying to offer him the freedom I wanted to see how he wanted to go and explore, because he then got overwhelmed because he couldn't do it exactly how he wanted to, because I was trying to keep him safe. Then obviously it then highlights, oh, there's a kid in the street who's, so for me, I'd go, oh, they're dysregulated. But for other people, they'll just be like, there's a kid crying, very upset, and this man is trying to coerce their child. Yeah. Trying to coerce this child to go places they clearly don't want to go, because you can't force Frank to do anything he doesn't want to do. Like I'm saying,
that's the other thing, isn't it?
So it just looks a bit dodgy, and I just sat there going, oh, this could be interesting, couldn't it? Like someone could call the police, and then that would dysregulate him further, because it'll be sirens, new people. I've got to try and explain that. How would that go? So I tried to keep the
having to pick up or move or restrain even your child in public is one of the most anxiety-ridden things I think I've had to do. Like it's one of the things that sticks in my mind. Like I can feel it as you were talking, I could just feel it in my shoulders, then like tense up, because I've had to do it so many times.
Well, it hasn't happened to us yet, but yeah, it's going to happen. It's bound to.
Areas as well, in packed areas. I think I told you the story about, like, we went to a museum in London. Oscar ran through it. I just found him but like having to throw blankets over Oscar and rock them back and forth, or just running after them saying no, grabbing their hand and then picking them up and trying to run back to where you're supposed to be. You're right, to an onlooker with a particular mindset and no experience really of SEND needs in their experience. Yeah, it's tough, but it does sound like maybe I'm talking a bit out of turn, but that's someone else's problem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose
it's in your head. I'm not diminishing your challenge, but it's in your head at the time. It's still someone else's problem, like, or someone else's challenge, if you want to say.
Yeah.
You want to ask me about it? Let's ask about it. You want to phone social services or a police? By all means, go ahead. I think it's a waste of time. Why don't you come speak to me?
Yeah.
Or just watch the scenario play out for a while. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, eventually,
curiosity, not judgment. You don't have to spend long with,
Yeah.
I think Mabel not so much, because it's a little bit more hidden, but certainly with Oscar or Frankie, you don't spend long, half an hour maybe, just watching and observing them, and you'll kind of go, there's something going on there. But hey,
like our cab to my friend's house this afternoon. Within about a minute or two of being in the cab, the driver turned around and go, is he autistic? I was like, yeah. It can be quite obvious in certain situations. So yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, so that obviously that could have got a lot more challenging but I was met actually, which was a nice win. A couple of neighbours that I don't know and don't know us seemed to respond quite positively and just kind of left us to it. And 5 minutes later, I stood up and I was like, Frankie, shall we go home and have dessert now? And then I tried to pull him up. He let me stand him up, and then he walked by me. He didn't want to hold my hand, and that's fine. We just walked back to the house and I let us in. So all in all, like a 30-second pop across the road was probably about 45 minutes outside. And then 5 minutes later, Amy turned up from work, because I was communicating with Amy going, are you coming straight? Like, how's it going? Just coming straight home. You probably will see us in the street. And then, but yeah, so that was a little bit of a challenge. But
that's really really interesting. There's been times when I've been in crisis mode and going, Laura's due back at about half an hour, or like she's due back home or whatever. At what point do I need to tell her all of this? Because she would need to know, and Amy would need to know, in case Frank wants to go exploring, or the scenario raises its head again with Oscar, right?
Or they're just going to be a bit touching potentially emotional for the rest of the night.
But equally, in that scenario, you have to kind of like keep in touch with them, and you kind of think, well, in a half an hour, 45 minutes, I might be able to be back inside eating dessert, and then when they've gone to bed, or I have a quiet moment, I can go, okay, Ames, this happened today. So if you're ever in that scenario, but equally, you're like, well, this could go the other way, and he could have run off, and I could be nowhere near the house. So you also need to know where I am, and it's making that judgment call. I think if you're solo parenting, between how much information at what time you give the other, your co-parent, if you're co-parenting, or if you're married or whatever. Because if you're doing it as a team, you kind of need to be like, you need to trust that I've got this. But equally, if you're going to come around the corner and see me sat on the floor with our kid, you're going to want to have known a little bit beforehand. It's really, really tricky.
Yeah. In my head, I suppose,
is like, it's the worst thing to do, to be at work and be like, I've got 3 hours left of work, and your partner's going, this has all gone shit. Like, I'm really struggling because you can't do anything.
The time of day it was.
It seems like the timing was all right.
Yeah, it was about half an hour before she was due to come home, and I because I was sending her pictures of him like looking through the neighbour's house, knocking at the door, going, look who he wants to go visit.
Yeah,
unfortunately she's not in. So she kind of knew, and then I went, it's kind of taken a turn. Just so you know, in my head I was like, this could be the perfect white knight situation where, oh look, mummy's turned up, and he'll be like, cool, where have you been? And then he'll just walk over to her and go straight in. But yeah, we managed to do it maybe 5 minutes beforehand. So I said, look, we're outside. Then I text her. She's like, I'm on my way. And then I text her and said, actually, we're inside now, but I think he'll probably be just happy to see you because you'll be, you haven't been trying to suppress his fun. Although the whole point of the exercise was I was trying to give him a bit of freedom because I just
need to work out,
trying to pull him in straight, or not pull him in, but trying to get him to come in straight away wasn't going to happen because he looked like he was enjoying himself outside. So a bit of a long rambly challenge with some winds chucked in there, but
that's all right.
Yeah, it was just, he wanted to explore, but it's an area we don't really explore often because we're normally just going in and out of cabs or cars or being dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was just him interacting with the street that we live in a little bit more. So yeah, that was the main one really. What about you, my friend?
Nice.
What's been a challenge in your Easter break?
Well, it comes into the clocks and the knocks. We have had I would say, horrific week of sleep. Both the kids. I was just kind of staying up most of the night and then sleeping through till 11, 12, 2 o'clock.
Right.
Standard.
Is that all of you? Sorry. Is that all of you or just the kids?
Both the kids.
All right. Yeah.
So we're up. Laura's been working a bit this week. I've been up doing some work from marking coursework and such. And they just have been. There's a number of reasons. Once you get into that cycle, I think for our kids, it's difficult. At what point you try to enforce some structure for them, knowing that, well, Laura, for example, has got to get up and get to work. So do you let it ride a bit? We're usually pretty encouraging in terms of that, letting it ride on a Friday. They're getting to the ages where 14 and 15 that they need to know that their actions have a consequence next time, but not from just like, oh, you were late to meet your friend because you stayed up, like those, or you were wanting to go online and see something live at a certain point and you didn't see it. So just trying a bit of that, which is a perfect time to do that, but it has just been just a bit relentless, if I'm honest. And it's therefore it's kind of given. I've said knock because it's kind of felt like a bit of a knock because we don't know how we're going to kind of redress that, and I think a lot of that is to go, well, it's going to benefit you in the future next year, or like trying to get Oscar's attendance, trying to get them to attend a bit more and feel that they can attend, and all of those things that are really challenging for autistic people, but also people with ADHD. It's like to get them into those, I guess, habits, but I don't really like it forming it like that. But just knowing that, like, when you're an adult, these are these basic skills that you will find so hard, and trying to encourage those behaviors, you can't really say like you're gonna, you say it to most teenagers, like, oh, you're gonna really find that a struggle as you move into adulthood. They want to hear that about anything. And also they are getting a certain amount of dopamine. It seems super important what they're doing, be it like gaming or deep diving into a particular topic or messaging their mates or being on call or whatever. So yeah, it's been a real challenge because just I look like
It impacts
not
everything
thinking.
else.
Yeah, well, it also, we didn't have much in the calendar at all this week, which was good, but I think that also meant
It helps
we
enforce the
were
late
kind
night.
of hoping that they'd level it out themselves,
Mhm.
or that they'd start to think, and whilst we put some things in place. So, yeah, as yet unresolved. So we don't really know. And also the crucial thing is they know they've done it, and they don't know why. And if that tells me that it's idle, it's mindless. In terms of Mabel and sleep and medication, like melatonin is just not having any impact at all because you've been waking up later, had meds later, so that could have an impact. But where Oscar's concerned, it's just become habit and I don't like it being habits, but like schedule or structural forming, like it's formed that structure. Like, this is what I do now. So we're going to see how that goes. But yeah, the conversations about it has been difficult because you can't put a stop to it, and you can't. I've found it very difficult to have the conversation without attaching blame to it. Of course, you don't want to get up now and come downstairs and do this thing that we planned, or see your nan who's popped in because you chose to stay up. Of course, you don't want to go to your 10 o'clock kickoff for football because you chose to stay up. It's hard to deliver that without it sounding like this, how you feel, because you always feel guilty about missing the thing, is all your fault. It's been so tough. And it continues. So we'll see. I'm imagining the school term will level that out a bit.
Yeah.
Certainly for Mabel. And hopefully for Oscar.
Well, fingers crossed. Yeah. Hopefully, just having the regulation of school. Well, sort of a regulation, but yeah, the structure of school, just something to get up for, and then something to tire them out. Yeah.
Well, come back after this break to see if I have a win, because as up until 2 minutes before record, I did not have one. But then I had a conversation with Laura, and she said I could steal hers.
Oh, what a cliffhanger! I love it. See you in a bit.
Come back after this. Got a question or want to share a story? Drop us a message on Instagram or email us at NeuroDADverse@gmail.com. Look after yourselves. Welcome back into the NeuroDADverse, where we talk all things neurosparkly and neurospicy about parenting neurodivergent children. Cool. So we're at this part of the podcast where we talk about our biggest win. And if you're watching or listening before that little break, I just told you that I didn't have one, which is the first time that's really happened to me. I think I'm quite optimistic and positive person. I can scrabble through some wins out of challenges, but I really, as I was saying before, I had a really knockback week and really struggling to just see any of the wins throughout the week. So I asked Laura, and Laura said, "Oh, I think it was our walk today." And I said, because we took the dog for a walk, and I said, "Well, not really a parenting win." She was like,
"Did the dog turn around and go, what do you mean?"
Yeah,
I've been good.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a parent to the canine. I give myself an owner to the canine.
Fair.
Laura feels differently. Get in touch if you think that you are a parent to dogs. It's perfectly fine. They're just different opinions. They can both be held within a household. But what we did was we tried to think about ways in which we can put a stop to meet the challenge that I talked about, which is the sleep schedules one. because it happens intermittently throughout term, and we think for both of them it might be a little. It's difficult to say, but it is true that if they're up all night, they aren't in the emotional or physical space to go to school. They are also teens, so they are also complicit in that. And we have always said that it's difficult to put the device scenario back in the box once it's out. And what are their relationships with those devices and platforms are ones that they are going to need to navigate because of the ages that they are. And so we've tried to build positive habits, and we did have quite a good thing going in terms of them building positive habits. So something has happened, I would say, in this past 6 months where those habits aren't so good anymore. Some contextual stuff, but mainly it was a win because Laura and I seem to have come to a kind of scenario about how we're going to deal with just some boundaries about devices. So I'm not really going to share the specifics on here, but essentially for them, as they go into adulthood, they aren't going to have workplaces where they're going to, I can't imagine, like, that they're going to have workplaces where they have unfiltered access to those. And also just generally, like, getting good sleep is a good thing to make yourself aware of. We had real disagreements, but we thought about how we would manage it, what we would say. Obviously, there'll be no perfects, and the crucial thing is for us just to remain consistent. Both of them are going to have experiences. I think Oscar already does, where mobile phones are locked away. I think that might be coming in at Mabel's school, or certainly they are considering it. So it's just something where we think in the evening some restrictions on. It's a bit more restrictions, and trying to do it all as a team. Like, we're doing this for you, both of you. We're all doing it together. See how it goes. So that's a bit of a win because I was really struggling this week, and Laura was like, "I think we've got a good thing going there. We just need to put it in place and try and be consistent with it," which will be our challenge for the coming weeks. But yeah, that was good because it's nice to think that. I found it quite a stressful. How are we going to put things in place? Well, how are we going to do this? And so yeah, nice little win, nice little parenting win to be able to do this together, have different ways of approaching it, and kind of come to a consensus on a dog walk. So yeah,
and the walk
and it was sunny,
pleasant.
so maybe that helped.
I was going to say, I bet the dog walk was a win in itself because it was just a
Yeah,
nice day.
Lovely.
No, that's awesome.
Top weather. What about you, my friend? Other than making it on time to school, making it to school even though buses was bad.
Yeah, so I said, I've had a really positive week. I'm sad to hear that, / not trying to sound like I'm rubbing it in. Like, you've had a bit of a challenging week, and this week I've had more of a winning week. So I'm going to do a couple of quick fire wins for Frank, and then I'll share my main one and Frank's main one and my main one from my perspective. So the quick fire wins for Frank. We were 4 out of 5.
Good energy.
Yeah, good energy. So quick wins for Frank. 4 out of 5 on school bus transport in the morning. It's amazing what happens when Daddy wakes up in good time. So that was good, and he's got back into school in a good routine, and we're enjoying that. So amazing. Second, we got an update in the middle of the week from Frankie's latest SALT session, so speech and language therapy. The teacher said I wasn't there, but when the lady come back, she said that Frankie had an excellent session. I have no idea what that means, but I'll take the word excellent. We don't hear that often.
Yes.
Third, the middle of the week, I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, I said to Frankie, shall we go to bed? And before going to bed, for the first time ever, Frankie went and tidied up the toys that he had made a mess on the floor with while he was playing with them, took them back into the room that they came from, shut that door, then took me by the hand and took me upstairs to bed. Huge win. Never happened before. Frankie actually tidied up.
Good energy.
And then I think his big win was today. out for lunch at my friend's house. We go there every couple of months. I've spoke about it on the podcast many a time. He feels really it was our turn to visit them. He's really comfortable there. He likes their company. They've got 2 kids. They all play together nicely, but also today, what was nice, they also could play separately. It got to a point where they wanted to go off and have a bit of screen time, and Frankie was just happy doing his thing. The big win was, and it comes down to my word for initiation. Frankie asked me to go on the trampoline with him, and I was like, okay. I've been trying to avoid it just because my knee's doing okay, and I don't want to do anything to disrupt that. And when we were on there, he was taking me by the hand and walking me around. And then I eventually worked out that he was asking me to chase him, which is a game that we do on our trampoline at our house. So he initiated a game with me. And then after a couple of minutes, one of the kids noticed and they come and joined. And then another 5 minutes later, the other one come and joined. So it went from a game of 2 to a game of 4. Then my friend come over to just man the escape hatch on the trampoline. So the game is I chase Frankie and change direction every now and again, and then obviously he has to change direction and he gets all flustered, but in a fun way. And the reason I think it was his win of the week was because the whole time we were playing it, whether it was me or my friend who were tagging each other in, because the kids have got so much more energy and are so much more flexible than we are, he was smiling ear to ear, giggling, laughing, having a really good time, and it was a game that he chose to play, and that was just really nice. Oh, and actually, another quick fire win. Before we went out today, he kind of got wind and the vibes that we were going out, and he went over to he kept taking me over to the window which overlooks the front door to say, like, we're going out, aren't we? And eventually, he actually, after a few times we go, yeah, we're going out soon, he actually turned his little social story that we have on the table, got all of the cards out and started to flick through locations. And I was like, oh, aim, Frankie's going to tell us he wants to go somewhere. He didn't actually finalise on one, but he did hold Nana's house for a good 30 seconds. And I thought,
wow.
So we quickly jumped onto Facebook, got a picture up of my friend's family and go, this is where we're going instead. And then he was like, cool, got you. So that was another breakthrough. Nice. And maybe that was why he had such
a really big win for the social stories, right? Because since, did you start trialing it at half term? It's been a while, right?
Yeah, so we only have like a handful of locations that we literally go to every couple of weeks. Like school is obviously on there every day, and we've tried to keep it quite limited. You're doing it only for transitions
as well, right? You don't do it for meal times or anything. Yeah.
No, we have one that says dinner. So when he comes in from school, I've replaced school with dinner, and then once he's eaten dinner, I then put up the bath, then bed. But we're going to start expanding for sure. I'm like, this is he's actually using this how it's meant to be used in the form of PECs or social story. So we're now going to
don't run before you can walk. Just
no, but we said we were going to.
We never really got it going with O, but I've seen, I don't know, I've seen people use it really well. So that's really great that he's going to it.
Well, obviously there was somewhere he wanted to go that we don't have one for, so I feel we need to expand it a little bit. We have been discussing it, so the more faces of the people that we go to see, because if he says he wants to see these people, we can just FaceTime them and go, we can't see them today, but here they are, so at least we're reinforcing that. But he was clearly looking for something, and we just didn't have a picture for where we were going today. So yeah, so that was really good. And then my sort of win, my personal win as a parent, relays back to my challenge of the exploration and regulation that kind of didn't quite go as well as we wanted, without trying to sound like super, I don't know what the word is, I don't like sort of ever bigging myself up with anything, but as I was sitting on the pavement in the road with my son, who is crying and he looks like the Exorcist lady, like snot everywhere because he's upset, and obviously I've got no wipes because I was unprepared and it was spontaneous.
Yeah, of course.
I sat there thinking, I think I'm doing an okay job here with not trying to get too stressed out with what are the neighbours going to think. And obviously, I did have the thoughts of, what happens if they call the police, and what if they come out, and what happens? And I just thought, you just got to stop that and just sit there and just give him what he needs.
We've talked about it many times before. If you can remain calm, that's what your kid who is having sensory overload at that point needs. Unfortunately, you're an adult with an adult brain, and your immediate thought is, I need to make sure I protect my myself? Well, who's looking at me? Who's all of that anxiety comes on? And actually, if you can center your focus on the child and just remain calm. So actually, if your had a little thought that fluttered into your head that was, I'm doing a good job here, that means you were regulated and calm. So that sounds great.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because you're not gonna stop those behaviors. It's having those.
I felt like
those behaviours are because of the environment.
Outside of myself, just being like, it's all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Yeah. I was like, if someone, like, what is the worst that can happen here? We're already sitting down. We're already upset. Like, he can only get more upset. But we kind of also avoided like a full-on-ish meltdown because I just said he was whelmed. Like, he was getting overwhelmed, but he wasn't so upset. But yeah.
Because if you're anything like me, for a lot of the time, I'd be going, oh yeah, half making a joke like, yeah, Oscar probably just stay in the corner under a blanket, actually. Give him a couple of trains and he's happy. Like, not all the time, but certainly with family, I was trying to just laugh through it a little bit, defense mechanism.
Yeah.
So when you get to that point where you're like, I'm just sitting in the middle of this and
got a visitor.
Kind of,
when he comes in, there he is. But yeah, sorry, we're still listening.
Yeah, no, when you're just sat there and you kind of realize that like it's just me and him or me and the kid, and I'm doing the best I can for them. It's great. Hi, Frank.
Ben says hello. He's come up to say, I'm very tired. It's bath time. I've had a good day, but it's getting a bit much now. Is that right? Did I get it right? And he's come tooled up.
Sleep.
Have bath. Go bed. But yeah, I was just saying, friend, I thought we did an okay job whilst you were deregulating on the street. Yeah. So there he is. He's happy.
Well, just that little interaction there when Frank was off camera, I can see what that speech and language therapist was talking about, because there were some rhythms of some sentences there.
We believe,
and I don't think I've seen Frank on the pod or in person for a while now. So that is.
It's been a good 12-ish episodes, I think, since he last come on. We believe he's starting to say okay, like mumbled in, and come on.
Okay.
So take you by the hand and go, come on. So I feel like we're getting there. But yeah. So yeah, they were my wins.
Nice.
Sorry, there was a lot there, but it was.
We're all getting there. Well, what a better point to in the podcast to point out that we are very, very, very thankful that you guys listen to this, and we're probably more thankful that people continue to listen to it wherever you do so, or watch it wherever you do so, and that's because with Frank there or Oscar and Mabel in my house, it is a lot, and weeks like this remind us that it's a lot. Frank agrees. And so thank you very much for listening. We are the NeuroDADverse. You can find us on TikTok, on Instagram, and we have a Gmail at the NeuroDADverse at gmail.com. And they've just stepped out of frame. So unfortunately, Dan, you're going to have to tell us the 3 things that we want everyone to remember.
He's back.
There's one.
He's back.
Hey.
There he's back. Thank you as always for listening to us, and our founding sort of ethos with NeuroDADverse was to just try and remember 3 things: that you're doing great, you are enough, and you're certainly not alone. Anything to say, Frank, to end the pod?
Hi, Frank. Can you do good energy?
Frank off camera just went and pointed at you, so I'll take that as a win. Bath time.
Showing my earring, or maybe that will
in person.
Next time I see. Yeah. In person. Right. Love to everyone. Good energy. Have a good
energy.
Week.
See you soon.
That's about it for the NeuroDADverse. We'll be back next week.
If you laughed, cried, or nodded in tired agreement, don't forget to follow us and leave a review. It helps more parents find us.
Just remember, you're doing great.
You are enough, and you are definitely not alone.
Got a question or want to share a story? Drop us a message on Instagram or email us at neurodadverse@gmail.com. Look after yourselves.